As you leave the base, I was wondering if you could get an impression of, would you consider your accomplishments here for the past year and a half in those mayoral duties and things you would like to see carried on?
Probably one of the biggest things, and early on was recognized through one of our various vulnerability assessments that are performed, and had to do with base access. And one of the things that we implemented early on was the physical checking of IDs.
Front and back.
Front and back.
That's what snarled traffic for so long.
But it did, yet with some modification to entry procedures here on base. So if you were to come in during rush hour in the morning, you would notice that there are a number of extra lanes open at both Gate 1 and Gate 2, and push back further. And you can see even at Gate 2 where we have that tension fabric structure, basically the cover over the area where our repositioned security folks would be in the morning for rush hour to keep them out of the weather. And that would have happened this weekend, but with the rain on Saturday, we're going to get that. It'll be powered, so there'll be lighting there as well. So in conjunction with the ID checks, which from an anti-terrorism force protection standpoint presents an invulnerability here at Pax River. So we want to make sure that anybody who has ideas about coming to Pax River to do something, do us harm, that it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get on base because we're checking IDs and we're getting to know everybody as well as we can. Yet we wanted to not impact traffic, and really for the better part of now, I would say about 16 months, because we implemented it in May or June of last year. We've got nothing but compliments, and I certainly come in at different times in the morning to make sure that things are moving well. Now certainly you'll have your accidents that will impact traffic, but we're not seeing the traffic jams like we were in the past. Usually you're getting through one light cycle at Gate 1 at Peg Road. Gate 2 with the movement of the sentries and the third lane. No longer do you have traffic down Great Mills Road, past St. Mary's Square. So we're real positive about that, and hope that would continue. I have every reason to think that will continue.
What started all that? It was my understanding that it was an actual exercise designed to test base security.
Correct. That was a vulnerability assessment. The Joint Staff does a vulnerability assessment every couple of years.
You say vulnerability assessment. I'm not sure exactly what that always means. I need to, if I just say test, just so I understand.
Sure.
Right. So there was traffic all the way down past St. Mary's Square.
Oh, routinely. And yes, it needed to be addressed.
I heard there was going to be a transition, I don't know how true this is, but from using contracted past office people to transitioning back to enlisted military people. Is that the case? Or?
No, we will always have a mix between Department of Navy, uniformed military, and then in some cases we have other contracted employees, so we call them part of non-guard services, who provide vehicle inspection. Now, vehicle inspection for us here at PAX is at Gate 1, and where the truck lane is on the right-hand side. So that is a contracted effort. But no, there will always be a give and take on the numbers of how many DON, how many military, and some of those non-guard services have, of course, be dictated by the contract itself. The uniform military piece, we're still struggling with Navy personnel. We recognize the fact that billets need to be pushed to the fleet, and we need to operate forward and need to be ready. And so how does a shore installation get by? Well, then we have to not augment, but a good portion of our force is Department of Navy. So our government security forces.
And that's all of a function of wartime, correct? I mean, billets need to be pushed to the fleet.
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think it's the nature of the downsizing of the military. It's certainly part of the warfighting effort as well, but we're all coming down in size, and in a prioritization and a right-sizing effort, we're pushing the billets where the billets need to be. And so you're seeing that throughout the Navy, and this is one of the areas with shore installation.
Did you call this base short manned? I believe it was. Is that the term you used? Or a little bit down on manpower that you'd like? Well,
we've been downsizing in the last couple of years. When I arrived 3 years ago, we went from double the uniform military to half the size. We went from, and I'll say approximately 60 to 70 uniformed master at arms, that would be the rate for security, to the mid-30s in one fiscal year. So we dropped down that, and we also dropped a little bit with the Department of Navy. So we had to adjust our methods and our procedures in order to make sure that we maintained security here on base.
Would you classify the security issues that have been addressed, and like with the traffic, to be one of your biggest accomplishments as CO in helping see that through?
I would, and